The quiet weight of expectations. When you were young, every adult around you seemed to know exactly who you should become. They didn't always say it directly. They didn't have to. It was woven into the fabric of your daily existence. It was in the way they compared you to someone else's child at the dinner table. It was in the way they handed you a compliment that sounded more like a condition for future affection. It was in the silence, that heavy, suffocating silence of quiet disappointment, when you didn't meet a standard you never agreed to. You grew up learning a profound lesson without ever being formally taught it, that approval had a specific shape, and your primary job in this life was to distort yourself until you fit perfectly into it. At first, it looked harmless, even noble. Try harder, you can do better. You're smart, you just don't use your potential. These phrases are the building blocks of a modern childhood. But with time, those sentences stopped sounding like encouragement. They transformed into a subtle, invisible contract, one you never signed, one you never read the fine print of, but somehow felt bound to follow with every fiber of your being. And so you tried, you pushed, you sacrificed your weekends, your curiosity, and your sleep. Every achievement bought you a fleeting moment of relief, a temporary gasp of air above the surface, but never true peace. Because the applause faded faster than the sweat on your brow, and the next expectation appeared even before you could catch your breath. No one told you that expectations don't have a finish line. They are moving targets. They grow. They multiply. They evolve into hungrier versions of themselves. The hardest part of this journey is that the world rarely notices when you're drowning quietly. Society rewards the drowning as long as they keep their strokes rhythmic and their faces calm. You smile, you carry on, you hide the soul-crushing fatigue behind a perfect polished facade. But inside, an invisible weight accumulates day by day, pound by pound. It is the weight of a life that is not yours. There comes a point in adulthood when you realize you've become a professional performer in your own life. You aren't playing for an audience of thousands in a stadium. You are performing for a small, intimate circle, the people whose opinions somehow weigh more than your own internal compass. Think about it. You behave a little differently around them, don't you? You speak more carefully, filtering your thoughts through a lens of, will this please them? You hide the sides of yourself that might cause a furrow in their brow or a sigh of disappointment. You avoid sharing what truly excites you, that weird hobby, that risky career change, that unconventional dream, if it doesn't fit the rigid image they already believe about you. It's not that you want to lie. You aren't a dishonest person by nature. It's just that you feel safer when you're predictable. You feel secure when you are dependable and familiar. You have traded your authenticity for the safety of their expectations. Expectations work like invisible strings, gentle at first, almost like silk, but eventually they are firmly wrapped around your wrists, your heart, and your throat. You don't notice them when they are first applied, but eventually they shape the very way you walk, talk, choose, and dream. You start living in a state of constant, exhausting negotiation with yourself. You ask, what if they think I'm wasting my life? What if they say I'm being unrealistic? What if they laugh at me behind my back? What if they are disappointed? You adjust everything. Your career goals, your lifestyle, your choice of partner, even the timing of your major life milestones, just to avoid the sharp discomfort of letting someone down. But here's the paradox, the cruel joke of the human condition. In trying so hard not to disappoint others, you end up committing the ultimate betrayal. You disappoint the person who matters most, yourself. You become a carefully edited version of a human being, a greatest hits compilation designed for public consumption, rather than the original, messy, beautiful human being you were meant to be. This is the root of a specific kind of modern burnout. Burnout doesn't only come from working too many hours at a desk. Sometimes the most devastating burnout comes from overliving according to someone else's blueprint. It is the spiritual exhaustion of constantly holding up a version of yourself that isn't sustainable because it has no roots in your own truth. Some people collapse because their job is too stressful. Others collapse because they've carried a mask for too long. And let us be clear, that mask is heavier than it looks. It requires emotional energy, social energy, and spiritual energy, all poured into maintaining a narrative that wasn't even born from your own desires. You might not realize it, but every yes you say out of obligation, every boundary you avoid setting because you fear the friction, every choice you make based on the fear of judgment adds another heavy stone to the invisible bag you've been carrying since childhood. One day, without warning, that bag becomes too heavy to lift. You find yourself standing in your kitchen or sitting in your car, and you simply cannot move. The frightening part? The people around you think you're fine. They think you're strong. You've carried the weight so well for so long, with such grace, that no one suspects your knees are shaking and your spirit is breaking. But deep down you know. You feel it in the way the mornings have become a battle of will. You feel it in the way joy has turned into something you schedule on a calendar rather than something you feel in your chest. You feel it in the way you sometimes wish you could run away from everything. Not because you hate your life, but because you're tired of the effort it takes to hold it up. This isn't just physical fatigue that a weekend of sleep can fix. This is soul exhaustion. This is what happens when you've given away too much of your essence without ever replenishing it from your own well.
There's a subtle, haunting moment when you pause, look at your life, and whisper to the empty room. How did I get here? It happens in different ways for different people. For some, it's waking up one morning and feeling absolutely nothing about a career they spent a decade chasing. For others, it's finishing a goal that everyone else praised them for, yet feeling strangely empty inside, as if they won a race they never wanted to enter. You look at your daily routine and realize none of it reflects your inner world anymore. It's a gentle shock. The realization that you've been following the breadcrumbs of expectations so long that you've drifted miles away from your own nature. Like a river forced into a straight concrete canal, your life has become structured, organized, and efficient. But it is no longer alive. It has lost its curves, its mystery, and its power. If no one had expectations of me, if no one was watching, if no one cared, who would I become? This question is often dismissed as selfish or indulgent, but it is actually the beginning of true self-awareness. It is the moment the quiet weight starts to loosen, not because the expectations have disappeared, but because you have finally seen them for what they are. Awareness is the first crack of light in the darkness of conformity. We are often so afraid of the void of not knowing who we are that we hastily fill it with other people's dreams. We think that being useful to others is the same as being happy ourselves. But utility is for tools. Humans are meant for meaning. From a philosophical perspective, expectations often stem from other people's fears, not their love. Parents expect success because they once feared failure and want to protect you from that pain. Friends expect stability because they fear change and what it might mean for their own lives. Society expects conformity because it needs predictability to function smoothly. Stoicism, the ancient Greek philosophy, teaches us to distinguish clearly between what is within our control and what is not. Our actions, our values, and our reactions are within our control. Other people's opinions, their expectations, and their disappointments are not. Epictetus famously said, "People are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them." Other people's expectations only have power over you if you grant them that power. If you decide that someone's disappointment is a price you are willing to pay for your own integrity, the weight vanishes instantly. In Eastern philosophy, Lao Tzu reminds us of Wu Wei, not inaction, but action in harmony with the natural flow. When you live according to external expectations, you are swimming upstream, fighting a current that was never meant for you. You are tired, and you never truly arrive. Humans are biologically wired to seek belonging. Even the strongest, most independent people carry the primal fear of being misunderstood or rejected by the tribe. That fear often disguises itself as responsibility, duty, or maturity. But underneath all the noble labels, it's much simpler. You don't want to lose love. You don't want to break the bond with the people who shaped you. You don't want to endure the cold silence that follows the words, "I expected more from you." So, you avoid the risk. You take the safer path, the cleaner path, the path that earns nods of approval instead of difficult questions. But you must remember this. People will always have expectations, even of lives they never have to live. They will give you advice on risks they would never take and judge you for failures they have never experienced. If you build your identity on their preferences, you will end up living as a curated version of yourself, a museum exhibit of who you were supposed to be. Letting go of expectations is not an act of rebellion. It is not about being angry or cutting people off. It is about alignment. It is about asking the hard questions. What feels meaningful to me, regardless of the paycheck or the prestige? What kind of life makes sense to my personality, not just my environment? What pace of life brings me actual peace, not just productivity? Which dreams are actually mine? And which ones did I inherit, like an old piece of furniture I never liked?
You don't have to destroy your entire life to find yourself. You just need to reclaim it, piece by piece. Start small. Say no to that social event when your whole body is screaming for rest. Choose a hobby because you love it, even if it looks useless to others. Let yourself make mistakes. Real, messy mistakes that belong to you, not the scripted ones that society deems acceptable. Yes, you will upset a few people. You might even lose a few people. But you will also start breathing differently. Your lungs will expand in a way they haven't since you were a child. Over time, the people who truly love the essence of you will adjust. They will learn to love the version of you that is honest and self-directed, even if it confuses them at first. And if they don't, then you have lost nothing but the illusion of acceptance. True belonging only happens when you are seen for who you truly are. If they only love the mask, they don't love you. They love the performance. And you cannot sustain a performance for an entire lifetime without losing your soul. You don't need a dramatic escape to a mountaintop. You don't need to cut everyone off or move to a different city. Sometimes, the bravest act of choosing yourself happens in the quiet, mundane moments of a Tuesday afternoon. It's in the decision to slow your life down when everyone else is rushing. It's in leaving space between your tasks just to breathe. It's in choosing a career path that makes you feel human, even if it makes you less impressive on paper. It's in letting yourself rest without the crushing weight of guilt. It's in pursuing something that no one around you understands, but you do. Your life doesn't need to impress anyone. It doesn't need to be a highlight reel for someone else's social media feed. It just needs to feel like yours. When you stop chasing the phantom of expectations, something unexpected happens. Your inner voice returns. It's soft at first, shy, like a child who has been ignored and shushed for far too long. But if you sit in the silence and listen, it grows. It becomes clearer. It becomes the only compass you will ever truly trust. You start to realize that the world didn't actually need you to be perfect. It didn't need you to be a flawless machine of productivity or a saint of self-sacrifice. It just needed you to be present. And you cannot be present if you are busy being someone else. You cannot be present if you are mentally rehearsing your next performance. There is a specific moment in every journey of self-discovery when you stop fighting expectations. Not because you've given up or because you've become bitter, but because you've simply grown past them. You see them for what they truly are: projections, hopes, and fears, expressions of other people's internal worlds, not yours. Their disappointment is their own to manage. Their confusion is not your problem to solve. Their preferences are not your obligations to fulfill. You realize you can respect people without obeying them. You can love them deeply without living for them. You can listen to their wisdom without sacrificing your own. And in that understanding, something finally softens within you. The weight doesn't disappear entirely. Life will always have its demands, but you don't carry it alone anymore, and you don't carry it with resentment. You place the expectations down gently, step back, and begin to walk at your own pace. Not fast, not dramatic, just steady. Like a river finally returning to its natural flow, winding through the earth in the way only it can.
You notice something quietly beautiful. The more you choose a life that feels true to you, the lighter your days become. Your inner world opens up like a landscape after a long rain. Expectations will always exist. People will always have opinions. The world will always try to tell you who to be, and they no longer lead you. You are the one holding the map. You are the one choosing the path. If you ever feel lost again, if you feel overwhelmed or quietly suffocated by the standards of others, remember this simple truth. You were not born to fulfill someone else's unfinished dreams. You were not born to be a character in someone else's story. You were born to live your own life, fully, honestly, and gently. The world is loud, aggressive, and demanding, but your soul is quiet and patient. Listen to that quietness. It knows the way home. It knows the difference between what is expected and what is right. The world becomes a surprisingly peaceful place when you finally allow yourself to simply be who you already are. You stop the war within yourself, and in that peace you find the strength to build a life that is not just successful by society's standards, but successful by yours. You find the courage to be misunderstood, the strength to be disliked, and the freedom to be truly, authentically alive. That is the wisdom of the ages. That is the Larry Wisdom way. To live not for the applause of others, but for the quiet satisfaction of a life well lived on your own terms. As you move forward from this moment, carry this thought with you. Your value is not a variable. It does not go up when people praise you, and it does not go down when they are disappointed. It is constant. It is inherent. Once you realize that, the strings of expectations lose their grip. You are free to move. You are free to choose. You are free to be. The weight is gone. The path is yours. Walk it with courage. Walk it in silence if you must, but walk it as yourself. Because at the end of the day, the only person you have to live with forever is you. Make sure that person is someone you are proud to know, someone you have been honest with, and someone you have loved enough to set free. The journey of 1,000 miles begins not just with a single step, but with the decision to take that step in the direction of your own soul. The expectations of the world will continue to swirl around you like a storm, but you will be the eye of that storm, calm, centered, and unmoved. Let the world be loud. Let the critics be confused. You have work to do. You have a life to live. And that life is the most beautiful thing you will ever own. Don't let anyone else hold the deed to it. Claim it today. Claim it now. And never give it back. If this message touched something deep within you today, perhaps it's a sign that it's time to put down the weight you've been carrying. Thank you for spending these 21 minutes with me. It shows that you are someone who values growth over comfort and truth over approval. If you found value in this journey, please hit the like button to help this message reach others who might be drowning in expectations. Subscribe to Larry Wisdom and join our community of those choosing the path of authenticity and silent strength. Before you go, I have one question for you to leave in the comments. What is one expectation you are choosing to let go of today? Writing it down is the first step towards setting yourself free. Remember, the world doesn't need you to be perfect. It just needs you to be you. Take a deep breath, trust your inner voice, and walk your path with courage. I'll see you in the next video. What is one expectation you are choosing to let go of today?